the days got more packed when home and people have other distractions now. What are the 3 things you would suggest to people who are working from home?
At the end of your workday, you want to transition. If you're working from home, what I found most challenging for people is that shift out of work into home life. How can I start and end my day? What is the transitions that I can create and put into my life? And they don't have to be huge chunks of time, but like snippets of time that create transitions. When we pause, we process what happened. If we're going from meeting to meeting to meeting, chances are something from that meeting isn't going to end up getting done because it wasn't simply written down or taken the time enough to really digest what happened.
What are the 3 things you would suggest to people who are working from home? Because there are more and more people working from home, and I hear from my students and our users that they're having all kinds of problems like focusing issues, a lot of distractions, and it's two meetings are on top of each other and they don't have breaks. I hear people saying like, I didn't even have lunch today, I was working the whole day. It's kind of like the days got more packed when home and people have other distractions now. What are the 3 things you would suggest to people who are working from home? Like it could be how to start the day, maybe something during the day or end of the day.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, this is definitely something I'm hearing too. So it's not a contained challenge. And if you are experiencing that, listening to this, you aren't alone. But my three, because I experience this too. I work from home and I work for myself, which has its own challenges. I would say there's 3 words that came up there: environment, transition, and I want to say snippets. So I'll go into those. So what I mean by transition first is almost working the day backwards, because sometimes people find it easier to work things backwards. So at the end of your workday, you want to transition. If you're working from home, what I found most challenging for people is that shift out of work into home life, because they're working and living and breathing in the same, possibly even the same room as they woke up in, or spending time with the children or their partner or friends within. So for me, it's about how can I start and end my day? What is the transitions that I can create and put into my life? And they don't have to be huge chunks of time, but like snippets of time that create transitions, that little fade from one into the other. So at the end of the day, you might want to wind down, and you might want to then, different people, different things. For me, getting outside in nature is a must every day too, and that's what self-care for me is: getting outside every day. I change how I breathe the minute I step out into nature. It's a natural thing my body does for me, as will everyone listen to this. Your body does the same. So transitions, number 1, is how you start and end your day is going to really support you to create that structure that we are missing by not working in an office. And that is something that we're not very good at. We're creatures of habit. What we have been used to is working in an office and being told when we have to be there and when we leave. And yes, you might extend that by working in the office, but you always have to come to the office and leave the office. So creating transitions for yourself that are going to help you start your day in the way that you want to go into your day. So you probably want to feel energized, inspired, quite content already in yourself, so centered. And to end the day, how do you want to feel, and what are the activities that would help you to feel that? And then I talked about snippets. So it's creating breaks. So if you're a leader, if you are the one responsible for those meetings, it is your responsibility to ensure your team have a 15-minute window at the front and end of those meetings, minimum. But everyone needs the toilet. Everyone needs to eat food, and everyone needs to take a few moments to go, okay. And when we pause, we process what happened. If we're going from meeting to meeting to meeting, chances are something from that meeting isn't going to end up getting done because it wasn't simply written down or taken the time enough to really digest what happened and what was talked about. So those snippets are really important to create, not only around meetings, but if you aren't in control of those meetings, how can you suggest them to be? And for yourself, where are you then creating time to go, I'm going to take my lunch break. I'm going to actually go and take a walk around the block, or I'm going to just sit for a moment away from my desk in a different environment, gaze at a candle, take a breath, read a book, a page of a book, not scroll through social media, because I have a whole different thing about that. But yes, and then, yeah, self-care, where we can look after ourselves. How are we looking after ourselves?
Yeah, thank you. These are great. I'm sure our listeners are learning a lot and getting in, and yeah, and a topic for another day, but especially for people who are doing their own businesses like yourself and like myself working. I think I'm going to just add one thing. I think also remembering that, because people say days go by and, you know, I have stuff to do, couldn't finish. Understanding that working in your business and working on your business are two different things, and maybe scheduling your days in such a way that you leave some days in between so that you can work on your business, like focus on your intentions again, like vision, because it's kind of like, of course, those pauses we talked about, that's inside those pauses. But I also see that, especially in the corporate environment, when people don't stop to think about their intention and vision and goals, you know, every week, preferably, a couple of hours every week, then they feel lost. It's like that's the reason why we feel lost. Of course, not because we're not posing, but also not because we're focusing on our business and focusing on what's meaningful for us. And again, connecting with why am I doing this? And of course, that's another topic to cover, like fulfillment and knowing your why and all. Yeah, thank you. I enjoyed every minute of our podcast today. Thank you very much for your time, for your energy.
Thank
Is
you.
there something, Becki, you want to add, before we end?
I think it's something that's been coming to my mind whilst we've been talking is I'm often, and I never hear this directly, I hear it through people who contact me about working with them for their workplace, but they often are then telling me that they've been hearing from their people, why do I need someone to tell me how to breathe? And you touched on
A
it
great
earlier.
point. Yeah.
You touched on it earlier. You gave the fact about 70% of us, are experiencing shallow breathing, which creates that very tightness in our body and a lot of tension. Then we create physical sensations, right? Physical problems and challenges in our body. And what I have to say to that is that one of the facts I've learned is that in general, overall, and this is quite phenomenal, we have this wonderful muscle called the diaphragm, which we barely use, right? And as we know about this as breath practitioners. But the fact I found absolutely amazing was that generally we only use 10% of that range. So no wonder we're breathing all this shallow breath. It's all shallow because we're not using this muscle, because we have this fear of letting that belly expand and swell and our body to move and breathe. So we make ourselves small. So I just want to say to people, if that is your thought process as to why do I need someone to teach me how to breathe, take a moment to explore one short breath technique and just see what you learn from that experience. And what I mean by that is experience, like, what does it feel like for you, and how do you feel before, how do you feel after? Because that there is the answer. And I'm sure something will go, oh, it's like that aha moment, and that is going to open the door.
Yeah, and also maybe a moment of, wow, I just couldn't do it.
Yes.
And then you see the problem. Wow,
Yes.
it's really hard to breathe for me. I've been breathing really wrong all these years. And yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Creatures
Thank
of
you so
habit.
much.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I enjoyed it very much and hope to see you soon
Yes,
in one of
absolutely.
our projects.
Yes, can't wait. Lots of love. Big love. Thank you,
Yeah,
everyone.
big love. Big love. Bye.